This is an Air Defense Command Direction Center in the Southwest, typical of the hundreds spotted throughout the free world. Here in the operations room, the battle for North America can be either won or lost. This is how the personnel work. On radar scopes, the search radar operators continually look for movements of blips. They become tracks which are recorded on a plotting board. The movements and identification officer checks them against the plans of all known flights in their assigned zone. If it is unknown, the senior director scrambles one or more all-weather interceptors, and the duty director vectors them until positive identification is made. The mission of the Direction Center, then, is to detect the intruder, identify him, intercept him, destroy him. Detection, identification, interception, destruction. In another war, electronics will be decisive. The battle for air supremacy is resolving itself into a battle for electronic superiority. In our electronic system are such vital equipment as early warning aircraft, picket ships, Texas towers, and search radar, which tells the Direction Center of the approaching intruder. Used along with it is the IFF, Identification Friend or Foe, which helps us identify and vector our fighters, and whose electronic waves also assist in the identification of airborne targets. The height range indicator gives us the altitude of the approaching intruder. Then there's the all-weather interceptor radar. This electronic fire control system places the interceptor on a proper attack course and at the correct time fires rockets and, if called for, guided missiles. Another essential link in controlling our interceptor crews by vectors is air-to-ground radio communications. Wires leased from the telephone companies pass important intelligence, weather, and intruder information from one unit to another. While as a backup, the same task can be performed by high-frequency radio. Altogether, our electronic defense system stands out as a target, a vulnerable one, certain to be marked by an intruder for electronic warfare. An intruder's attempt through his special electronic equipment to reduce the effectiveness of ours. If a pattern is not normal, the maintenance technician is notified at once. Crisscross. He and all operators are trained in the recognition of intruder electronic countermeasures and how to go about reducing their effectiveness. But first, let's look at some of these countermeasures. Many of them, such as confusion reflectors, have the purpose of screening and deception. Popular among them is chaff, strips of aluminum foil which give the false impressions of targets in the hope that we squander our interceptor effort upon phantom aircraft. Another bid to make us waste our interceptor strength are repeaters. They make a single target appear like a multiple raid the way one voice in a canyon sounds like a full chorus. Our radar can also become the victim of electromagnetic waves, often caused by the interference of our own radars. Then there is equipment trouble, which also must not be mistaken for an intruder tactic. In contrast, there is the deliberate attempt to litter our scopes by an intruder. This is jamming, a technique which takes many forms. All of them must be recognized. It is equally essential to master the defensive technique of anti-jamming, the use of certain electronic tactics and circuits which reduce or eliminate the jamming effect. Most of these circuits are built into radars throughout the free world. The technician must be fully trained, for someday this might happen. Sweep jamming, the intruder at work. Once he has determined that the interference is not internal malfunction, anti-jamming techniques are put into play. Results are not always immediate, but persistence pays off. Enabling the duty director to read through. He orders a scramble. Time now for the electronic flash report. It describes the type of jamming and the present effectiveness of the radar. It is then assessed for the intruder's effort, and the information dispatched at once to the Air Defense Control Center for the several state area and the Combat Operations Center of the Air Defense Command. The attack continues. The intruder is heading right on course for his target, one of North America's biggest industrial cities. From the Air Defense Command's Combat Operations Center in the heart of the United States, all echelons of the air defense system are alerted. The emergency battle plan goes into action. Back at the Direction Center, the scopes are being kept readable through the constant efforts of the technician. He must constantly manipulate his anti-jamming controls if results are to be achieved. Only with a readable scope can the duty director vector our all-weather interceptors for the kill. In addition, every pilot is schooled to recognize jamming of his own electronic fire control system. When he is finally able to read through, he can attack. But as we know, not only radar is vulnerable to electronic warfare, there is also radio jamming, which causes interference between the pilot and the director. By another circuit, maintenance men are asked to check their radio equipment. The answer? The trouble is not internal. It is necessary to switch to a pre-planned channel. This anti-jamming technique is known as channel rotation. Many assigned channels may have to be tried in the hope that the fighter crew chooses one that is not jammed. Then again, this plan may fail altogether. In that case, we revert to BROFICON, broadcast fighter control. Using standard broadcast frequencies, the duty director gets through to his interceptors. Pilots, however, are cautioned against false messages sent out by the intruder. They are taught to beware of incongruities such as change of voice, radical departures from their course, or sudden recall. When in doubt, they consult their authentication list. the code of the moment between the air and ground teams. The battle continues. Another splash. But our losses are also mounting. Another scramble is ordered. Maximum effort. As the battle progresses, our interceptor control passes to another direction center. The jammed scope is being cleared. Again, persistence is paying off. The new duty director reads through. He reaches his pilots. Meanwhile, something is happening to the intruder. His speeds and altitudes are changing. He is changing course. In evasion of our effort, he is reverting to tactics favorable to our air defense system. He is using up his fuel, missing his time over target. He has lost the advantage of a concerted attack. Because we are fighting back in the electronic warfare he has declared upon our air defense system, employing our anti-jamming techniques with persistence and reading through. But our story is not finished. The intruder has not been completely destroyed. Remnants of his attacking force are nearing the gun-defended area around the target complex. Our men of the radar-controlled Nike battalions are ready. They too know how to combat electronic warfare. But any slip-up in our system, and we can expect this. This could be Pittsburgh, Detroit, Chicago, any city, unless we are prepared. Prepared with personnel who have been carefully and thoroughly trained in electronic warfare. Recognition, reporting, reading through. These men and their skills represent the greatest electronic countermeasures we possess. It is with them, and only with them, that the air defense system can combat electronic warfare. This is how it must be done.